Welcome to Women Making News Live. I'm Debbie Hicks, and our special guest today is Miko Lukas, area developer for Good One Recruiters. Miko, welcome.
Oh.
It's so good to have you here with us. It feels like a long time coming, and I want to get you started, Miko, by sharing with us. Tell us more about Good One and what makes them so special.
I mean, there's so much, first and foremost, I would say what makes Goodwin Recruiting extremely special is that the owner and the entire leadership team are actually good human beings. And, all of that trickles down to the partners that work there. We truly and genuinely care about our candidates and our clients, and it's more than just filling a job. It's literally about changing lives, and I don't care if that sounds corny. I mean, it's truly investing in changing lives, going the extra mile in everything we do. I mean, we spend hours with candidates and get more in depth with clients and build those really strong connections that will last beyond our job being completed. We are making partnerships and friends for life.
Yeah. So go a little bit deeper on that changing people's lives. That's a big statement to make.
I mean, it starts with as small as, not that it's small, but as small as understanding what, our candidates are looking for, what our clients are looking for, really listening, not making any assumptions, and then literally doing everything in our power to give them what they're looking for. It could be a candidate that is looking to just change their career or get out of their current situation or get an opportunity that they may not have been able to get on their own. And with our guidance and also our due diligence to send them in the right direction, we can literally change their life and their family's life for the future.
Yeah, that's so important. And in the current environment that we're in, I'm interested to hear from a recruiter's perspective. That you hear about, you read about. Tell us more about the talent environment and what you see your employers standing up against.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's obviously some struggles going on these days. There have actually always been certain struggles, but now they're even more magnified, and they've definitely increased. Certain struggles include hiring to begin with, which is sourcing great talent, how interviews are done, and how the company is described, to employee retention and how onboarding is handled and employee relations are after hire. Companies have the ability to create an incredible work environment, but some are just honestly not putting in the effort or the care to do so. While there are harder jobs and less paying jobs, at the end of the day, a company that values its employees and shows it constantly will be able to avoid hiring struggles for years to come.
Yeah. And so what is it about recruiting? I heard you share about Good Ones. So it sounds like anybody would want to work there. But what is it about recruiting and that really drew you in?
It was before the pandemic even happened. I have always been in a leadership position, and I just, in the current position that I was in, I knew that I wanted to make more of a difference. I was surrounded by staff that I was happy to personally and professionally develop, but I wanted to do more. It's that be the change you want to see in the world, right?
Yeah.
So, recruiting really gave me the opportunity to get in front of many people every single day and truly change multiple people's lives every single day. And that, honestly, it's a little selfish because it helps me feel very fulfilled. And I go to sleep every night just, this was my purpose, you know?
Yeah. Well, when you can say that you go to sleep every night feeling fulfilled and that you know you're on purpose, it doesn't get any better than that, does it?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Miko, you just mentioned leadership. Share with us, if you will, your leadership journey. And I know you just shared what drew you into recruiting, but tell us a bit about your story, your leadership story, and your leadership journey.
Definitely. I'll go briefly as far back as growing up with an entrepreneur dad. He built an extremely lucrative business that went international, held government contracts. He was able to retire in his 50s. And I think most importantly, he was a great example of how hard work, common sense, and treating people well pays off. So I grew up watching and learning those skills from him. Then I opened my own business after working in sales and team building for a few years after college. And I basically went through an attitude and leadership boot camp for about 9 months. And it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. When I opened up my new business, I was pretty green. I utilized a lot of research skills and got a lot of advice from mentors. And my business had 3 divisions: brand building, direct sales, and recruiting. The recruiting was also paired with employee relations. And the company grew to multiple locations across the country, an incredible team of leaders that took care of over 100 employees and contractors. And then ultimately, I made the rookie mistake of trying to do everything myself. I did finances, payroll, all the HR, hiring, training, administration, legal, client, literally everything. And all in all, I definitely burnt myself out. And unfortunately fell out of love for the industry as a result. It was a good lesson, right? So after I closed up, I reevaluated what I wanted to do. And it was a little of a struggle to figure out, but I decided to work in events and banquets management for a huge restaurant group. All of a sudden, I was an assistant general manager and then a managing partner. And then 10 years later, I left the restaurant industry and went back to what I truly love, which is helping people every single day.
Yeah.
And it's funny, your last question, recruiting holds a unique avenue for me to be a life coach, which I've always wanted to be a leader, and to just help people across the country. So.
Yeah, so there's a lot in there. So let me see which way I want to go with it. I'm very interested in in all of that, and I'm interested in the business that you built. It sounds like it was a pretty substantial enterprise that you created, that you birthed, and you had a number of over 100 employees and contractors. What would you say, and you may have told us this, but I'm going to ask again anyway, what would you say was your greatest lesson learned that you took away from that and that you still use today?
Yeah, obviously I learned the lesson on, being able to delegate some responsibilities and trust the team around me. But more so, I think that the biggest takeaway from that company that I got was actually altruism. In that industry, in direct sales and recruiting and brand building, in any industry really, I think that sometimes people forget the mentality of help other people, promote other people without expecting anything in return. And that is something that I established in that country, that company to begin with, and that I truly, truly believe with all my heart to this day. And yeah, they say that true altruism doesn't exist because you do something for someone else, you still feel good about it. So like you're still getting something out of it. Um, but the theory, the philosophy of altruism is important. And it has led me in the right direction all throughout my career, and inadvertently helped me achieve my goals.
Yeah, so your greatest lesson was altruism, and it sounds like you carry that forward with you today.
100%. 100%.
And you offered up there that you are not only an area developer in your role as a recruiter, but that you are a life coach.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to say more about that?
Yeah, honestly, right now, I actually feel like it's my greatest leadership victory. As a recruiter and a coach, as an area developer, I'm able, obviously, to help candidates find careers that will change their future. Um, but I also get to help with professional and personal development across the board. I get to share insight on integrity, open up their common sense here and there, help improve mentalities, attitudes. It's interesting. I heard something the other day. Someone said that people don't change. You can't change them, right? They are who they are,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because there's a lot of gray area there. Um, I do believe that we can affect change. And I'm not going to say that you should try to, go around changing people, but there are words, there are actions that we can do to influence others to open their minds a little bit and understand that, whatever truth that they believe in, that there may be another side, another way to look at it. And I do think you can affect change in people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think probably it depends on the person, right? Because there has to be a willingness there to change.
True. It's funny though, because in coaching and leadership, even if you have an individual that says, I don't want to change, I don't want to, I'm not open.
Yeah.
I swear to you, there are certain phrases, words, conversations, certain ways to still open their mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it may sound naive at times, but I have seen individuals and groups that are so dead set in their ways, and they just needed to hear something in a different way, and it was like a light. It was just a door opened in their brain.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of like that internal hope,
Yeah.
that can
You
happen.
you are that altruistic individual leader. I hear it, I experience it with you. And you bring that belief in others. I experience that in you too, Miko, that you believe in others regardless of what other people might be saying about them. So,
True.
yeah. So what a great role that you have in the role that you're in now. And it is exciting to know that you are working with individuals and helping them find the place where they will be most satisfied. And because you experienced that yourself, I imagine you're very good at what you do. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
go
no,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I mean, I was a pretty independent kid, but the one constant that I had was uh, I had unconditional love and support from my parents. I mean, I was adopted at 18 months old from South Korea and was extremely lucky to come over to the U.S. and find my parents. And I think that having that support growing up is important. I give huge kudos to my parents for always being very open-minded, for valuing common sense and not being judgmental of other people and giving them a chance. But they also taught me to understand remember what I stand for in terms of integrity and values. And if someone, isn't going to have integrity, then it's okay for me to step away. Right?
Right. What a story you have. Yeah,
I'm
what a
lucky.
story. And so, do you stay close to your parents today?
I do. I do. I still ask for advice from my dad. I mean, he's, in terms of a direct mentor, he is one of the most successful mentors, And he gives me a lot of sound advice in terms of remembering to treat people fairly, and to really just understand the black and white, but know that there sometimes can be gray areas.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, so your father is a mentor to you, and do you have other mentors?
Um, I did have a lot of mentors when I ran my company. I definitely uh, I needed them. I mean, I was such a young business owner. And so I had multiple people in the sales and marketing industry and the recruiting industry that gave me fantastic advice. Through the hospitality industry, obviously, there were fantastic leaders that I was surrounded by. But right now, I mean, my mentors include the leadership of Goodwin Recruiting. I mean, they have a leadership program, which is amazing. And, it's funny because as many leadership books that I have read and also listened to audiobook wise, I love relearning and learning new things about leadership. And that's what Goodwin's doing.
That's great. Good. So, Miko, as you and I have prepared for this broadcast, I was not specifically going to ask you this question, so I'm going to ask for permission to ask you something outside of the boundaries. So, will you give me that permission, not knowing what it is?
No, of course.
Okay. So I just think you're in a very unique situation. You are a recruiter, and so you serve in a capacity for both employers and for candidates to be hired by employers. You're an entrepreneur in that capacity, I think, but you're an entrepreneur. You were an entrepreneur. You started, birthed your own company, ran a successful organization, learned lessons from that. Uh, you speak of your values very, very clearly. What, when you look at women in the workplace, knowing that here we are today with Women Making News, when you look at women in the workplace, what tips would you give to them to best prepare themselves to advance their career?
That's a good question. Um, Listen, I think it's important that um, we're we're trying to strive for equality, right? We're trying to strive to be treated as equals, of course, and it's important that we put ourselves out there as equals. You know, all the normal integrity factors are things that we should be focused on. You know, every leadership factor, every single just being a good human being factor. I mean, if you want to fully succeed and run, fantastic teams where you have a congruent relationship with your team, you have a congruent relationship with your vendors and your clients and the rest of your company, then integrity factors have to be at top notch. Standards of excellence have to be top notch. And is that, only geared towards women? No. But it's still just something to strive for. At the end of the day, one of the things that, you know, I realized in my leadership experience is that if I strive to take all these integrity levels and all the standards of excellence to a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, no one can refute the work that I've done. No one can refute the character that I have. And so they can't keep me away from success, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So, and trust me, I mean, I've experienced it. I've heard words, I've seen actions of, discrimination, stereotypes towards me as a female leader in business, but no one can fight facts. No one can fight the truth that I just strived to be the absolute best in anything I did, and to keep integrity and to do the right thing when no one's looking, right?
Right. So that's really important. What I just heard you say was that the situation is what it is. You don't deny that or turn your head to it, but you control what you can control, which is you and
Mm-hmm.
your integrity and your learning and your standard of quality, and that you can't deny you. I really heard you saying you're out there making it happen.
Mm-hmm. Regardless of your gender, I mean, I think if you are the best at what you do, no one can fight that, and especially in today's especially today, because so much attention is put on diversity and inclusion. I mean, it is extremely difficult for a company to outwardly discriminate without getting in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a
And
whole other can of worms.
yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. But on that note too, tell me about what Goodwin does in that regard,
Mhm.
in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Mm-hmm. It is a huge focus for us. We actually, we have our core values, and it is right there at the top. Not only do we have our diversity inclusion program in place, we certify our recruiters that join that program, and we coach candidates and we coach clients. I mean, we will coach candidates on experiencing issues, and then we will coach clients on not putting those issues out there, and really that's what I'm talking about in terms of like being the change that you want to see in the world. Is, I mean, even if it's one client that we can really shed light on the situation, I mean, that affects their entire company.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of coaching for companies as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot. Miko,
I know it's a whole other broadcast, that topic.
well, maybe we'll have to do it. Okay, maybe we'll have to do that broadcast.
Huge
But that
topic.
there's a lot in there, and I mean, I just hear you over and over saying that you let your actions speak for you.
Mhm.
That what you do, how you show up. Mostly, I would start with how you show up as a leader,
Mhm.
and all of who you are goes into that, and then you let your actions speak for you.
Mhm. I mean, it's a little strange for me to even do this broadcast, and not in a bad way, in the sense that I've never been that person that stands there and says the words on all the things that I do, right? Like, it's actions are 100% where the proof is. And yeah, it's interesting for me to tell you good things about
Yeah. Well,
about
I'm so
stuff.
glad that you are. It's so important. Yeah. So, Miko, thank you so much. And I want to ask you one closing question, and
Mhm.
just have so much appreciation for you and for you sharing with our audience about Goodwin recruiting, your role there, but really it's about what you bring to the role is what I would say
Mhm.
about it, meaning you. But what message do you want our audience to take away from their time with you today?
Um, the biggest message would um, be open-minded, be kind. Remember that you can't assume what other people are thinking. The only way to truly know is to have a conversation and to connect. I think people seem so quick to judge and to discriminate, today, but also in the past. And like I said, I've been the subject of discrimination, whether it be racial, age, gender. It's been a pretty constant presence in my life. whether it's meeting people for the first time and having them make snap judgments, or being in a male dominated industry and working to become a respected female in business leadership. But now, as the societal struggles, it's opening the doors to some pretty horrific racial conflicts, some just discrimination conflicts. And fortunately, growing up, I didn't let myself get affected. But there are a lot of people that are affected and go through immense mental anguish because of it. So the biggest thing is people just need to stop judging and be kind, be open-minded.
Yeah.
That's the message.
Yeah. You're a great leader, Miko. And I appreciate you and thank you for your willingness to share who you are today with the audience of Women Making News. And I hope we'll stay connected.
Yes, definitely. 100%.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Demi.
Thank you. All right. So I want to take a moment today and I want to again thank Miko Lukas for being with us. And I want to thank our broadcast sponsor, Nettles Consulting Network. If you are in the insurance industry, an agent or a broker, you might want to take the time to look up Nettles Consulting Network if you're looking for productivity and efficiency enhancements in your service area. Thank you, Nettles Consulting Network, Laura Nettles. I want to encourage you to go to the Women Making News website. We appreciate our sponsors and our donors. It's our sponsors and our donors that make this broadcast possible. It's our sponsors and our donors that make our scholarships possible. This month, we awarded 2 scholarships, and we'll be talking about those women next month in our broadcast, and want to encourage you and invite you to join us to our November broadcast, where the theme will be work-life integration. Thank you for your support of Women Making News.